Hello everyone, Tom Morley here with another Godot tutorial. This tutorial will be on Path2D nodes as well as the Path Follow 2D nodes. So I will create a basic project to get everybody started, and a link to the project will be in the comment section below. So go ahead and pause the video and download the project file and then come on back. Okay, so you've downloaded the project file. We need to unzip that file and place it in our projects folder. So in the projects folder, you can see I've already unzipped my Path2D file. So I've got my folder with all the necessary files in it. So once you've done that, go ahead and start up the project manager. We need to import that new project. We'll go to project, Path2D, and my engine config. Click create. Now that you have it, let's go ahead and open it up. We have a very basic scene here where I just have a gradient background, blue to light blue. I also have a couple of balls that have that are rigid bodies and have some collision areas defined, as well as we have the wood static background. So I've defined some static areas here as well for the balls to interact with. So if I click play now, you'll see just a basic scene where these balls will roll and then drop down and basically get stuck down here at the bottom, and then they have nowhere to go. So what we want to do is we want to create a path all the way around this wood, and we will basically try and create an elevator that will grab these balls and bring them back up to the top, so that they'll just continuously be brought back to the top and fall to the bottom. Okay. So having said that, we have our basic setup here. We don't need the wood static body. We'll minimize that. We don't need that expanded. We don't need to go in there. So we need to create a Path2D node that will be off from our main root here. We won't be in the control area. We can minimize that. Go down to our Path2D, double click on that. Our Path Follow 2D node will be a child of our Path2D, so make sure our Path2D is highlighted. Click on Generate New Node and click on Path Follow 2D so that it's a child of our Path2D node. So we're pretty much all set up here. What we want to do is we want to basically draw a path all the way around where the wood is located for the elevator. We basically want a piece of wood to go around the outer area here and pick up any balls that are on the ground and bring them up. So let's create a new path. Make sure your Path2D is highlighted, and maybe this might be easier if we do expand the wood static body and turn off our wood sprite so that we can just see the collision area. That might make our life a little bit easier here. So again, make sure your Path2D node is highlighted, and you'll see that you've got a bunch of icons up here. This icon you can use to, of course, do what you see in the menu here, but I use this one mainly for moving points around on the screen. This one is to basically select your control points and move them around so that you can smooth your path, smooth the path a little bit. You'll see what I mean in a second. This icon is for adding points to your path, deleting points to your path on this one, and ultimately closing your curve once you're done. Now, when you begin to create your Path 2D node, or your path for your Path2D node, wherever you start, that's going to be your basically zero location. So if you want your elevator to start at this location and then go around, then you want to start down here. So that's basically what I want to do. I want the elevator to start right here. So that's where I'm going to make sure I have my add point selected, and I'm going to click and add a point here. Okay, and it works pretty good in this case because I just have to create a point at every color change in my static background here, because I used a custom polygon for my collision areas, so it makes it really easy. So I just have to click every time I see a color change, and we'll do that. We'll go all the way around, and we'll add or create a path for the elevator to travel along. Okay, there, one there. Scroll up here. And we'll go across. Okay, and once you click on the last one to basically close this loop here, you go back up to this icon where it says close the curve, and when you click on that, you'll see that this will fill in. There you go. So now you've got a complete 2D path for you to use. Now let's take a look at the path follow node, and you'll see that the path follow node is located up here at 0.0. Let's move that down to where we started creating the path. And look in the inspector here. And in this inspector, you'll see a couple of values here that are important. You have an offset value and a unit offset. Now this is location 0 in regards to the path we created. When we're talking about unit offset only goes from 0 to 1. So if I put a value of 0.5 here, and press enter, our path follow 2D node should go halfway across the path. So let's go ahead and press enter and see what happens. And you see that it did exactly that. It's no longer at 0. It's halfway around the path that we created. So let's put a sprite in here so that it's a little bit more interesting to see than just the square box here. Let's make sure your path follow 2D is selected, and let's add a sprite. And that sprite we will load up in our image folder, our elevator text. There we go. So now we've got basically a board here, and we're going to move that so that it's down a little bit more. Okay. So we'll click on the path follow again. So like I said, the unit offset is just going to be a value from 0 to 1, where 0 and 1 are both at the same location here where we started our path. If I want to go 3/4 of the way around, 0.75, and now I'm 3/4 of the way around. The nice thing about the unit offset in the inspector is if you want to know the exact offset in, I believe this is number of pixels here, if you want to know how many pixels there are in your path, then just put the number 1 in your unit offset, and that's right here will show you the total number of pixels that your path occupies. We'll basically be sticking with using the unit offset because I found that to be just an easier variable to use than the offset itself, because this can vary in what numbers are the beginning and the end, but a unit offset is always going to be 0 is the beginning and 1 is the end. So works out pretty nice that way. Let's put that back to 0. And if I press play, it's not going to be very exciting, I guess, especially because I have my wood hidden. Let's press play, and basically that our elevator isn't really doing anything, it's just sitting there. So we need to write some code for this path follow 2D node to basically go around our path. And I've already set that up in our Node 2D script. So go up to the Node 2D and click on the script icon. You'll see that there's already some code in here. I basically just turned our fixed process on so that our fixed process method is going to be called once every physics frame. There's some code in here, but we're going to ignore that for now. We need to highlight line number 6 and 7 here and take off the comment so that we have two variables here. One is the elevator location, which is going to be between 0 and 1, and we have our elevator speed, which in this case is 0.0001, and we're exporting that value so that we can change it over here in the inspector if we want to speed it up or slow it down. And it's not very difficult to get the elevator to move. Basically, we need to get a node, which is our Path2D node, and we need to set the unit offset, which will be a number of 0 to 1, and we're going to set the unit offset to our variable of elevator location, which the first time we go through this function will be 0. Then we just need to add a little bit to the location. So we've got an elevator location plus equal elevator speed. So we're going to take the current elevator location and add our elevator speed, which is 0.001, every time we go through this fixed process loop. So we should see the elevator start to move if we press play here. And yep, it sure is, but it's moving very slowly. So we need to speed that up. Let's try and change it here. Let's change it to 0.003. Let's see how that is. Okay. That might be too fast, so let's change it just to 0.001. That should be good enough for the purpose of this tutorial. Yep, and you see how it's going around the edge here, just like we want it to. But what do I have here? I have a Path2D node, I have a Path2D node, and a sprite. I don't think the sprite's going to pick these balls up, right? Because we haven't defined a physics body or a collision area for the board. So we better do that. Let's highlight our Path2D node and add a Kinematic Body to that. Scroll up to Kinematic Body, we'll add that. Use the arrow keys to put it just underneath path follows. We'll select the Kinematic Body now, and we will add a collision shape 2D, because it's just basically a box that we need, right? It shouldn't be too difficult to make that box. So we've added it and added the collision shape 2D, and there it is. It's definitely too small, so let's make it a rectangle shape, and let's click on the right arrow here to go in and modify it a little bit. I would say it's probably going to be 13. Let's make sure we're on the move, and let's move it over a little bit. And so we got what, 13, and let's try 50. Nope. 70. Yeah, that'll work for what we need to do. We'll just move it down a little bit so that it goes right to the end there. And let's look at our scene. I have the path follow, the kinematic body is a child of path follow, and my collision shape is a child of my kinematic body. That'll all work fine. We'll leave it just like that. So let's take a look. Let's run it. See what happens. So we've got the balls ready to fall on the ground. They're hitting the edge here. There they go. And our elevator's coming around. It should actually interact with the collision areas now, and yes, and you see it just flung it up there. So I picked them up, and now it's going to drop them on our ledge again, so it can happen over and over again forever. So we're all set up. One of the things that I would like to do is, you see how this board is on the outside? We probably want to make that board go on the back side behind the boards that you see here. And we can do that by going into clicking on the sprite and going down to the Z area in the inspector, and just dropping that down by one, pressing -1. Let's make our background sprite appear again, and now if we click play, you'll see that it is actually behind the wood, so it kind of looks like there might be some mechanics that we're unaware of that are actually driving that board and bringing it around the collision area, around the boards here. One thing I do notice is that the motion is fairly jerky as far as the board is concerned. So is there a way to smooth those jerky movements out? And the answer to that is yes, you can smooth that out. It just takes a little extra time. So let's close this out, and let's for now just hide the wood area so we can see the path. Click on Path2D, and you see how these are, I selected every time there was a color change, but these aren't very smooth transitions. It's just you hit this point and you sharply turn, hit this point, sharply turn. So if you want to basically smooth those out, you can by clicking on this icon here where it says select control points, and you can hit the shift key and click on one of these areas here, one of these dots. Make sure it's highlighted. There you go. And now you can more precisely manipulate your paths, and you can see how I just rounded it out there. If the first time you click, it will go on looks like it'll go on the right side, and if you shift click again, then you'll get the left side of the dot, so that you can manipulate both sides and round those out. And with a little bit of time, hold down the shift key, click on it, go to the right. With a little bit of time, you can see here that basically you can round out these different locations on your path, and it makes a world of difference as far as how that wood is going to look when it goes around your path. Okay. Again, don't forget you need to shift click to get the handle and drag it where you want it. So let's I'm going to click on this icon here to just move this point out just a smidgen, and I'll probably do the same thing with this one, trying to get it smooth. And this is where it's just going to be a matter of playing around with it, tweaking until you get it the way you want it, and that's going to take a while. So let's just see how the board follows that particular path. Let's take a look at it when it hits here. Yep, that's much smoother. So you just take your time, go around, and you can smooth out your path so that it looks a lot better than the jerky movement that you see here. And you could use this for anything. So that's how you use the Path2D node and the Path Follow 2D node. So hopefully you learned something. This is another piece of the puzzle, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.